All right, good afternoon. Call to order, call to order. Good afternoon. Yes, we are 5 minutes past 2 p.m. and we are going to start our first session of the afternoon. Our first speaker for that session is already here. Going to introduce you right now. Is everyone here? All now I hope everyone has made it back. So our first speaker for this afternoon is Mr. Mahfoud Shaban Haji, who is a climate and biodiversity loss and damage of energy and gender expert. He's a highly motivated and skilled individual with over 12 years of experience in community development and natural resources management. His extensive background spans climate change adaptation, energy efficiency, marine conservation, good governance, policy analysis, and gender inclusivity. So Mr. Mahfoud Haji is going to take us from here. We have like 45 or so minutes for both your presentation and our engagement from the team of journalists. And I start by welcoming you. Thank you very much for having time for us today. And karibu sana and enlighten us. Asante sana.
Asante. Yeah, hello.
Hello.
Is it afternoon or morning? Okay, by the way, my name is Mahfoud Haji, as I have been introduced here, and I will be with you sharing the knowledge, teaching not but sharing the few insights on our biodiversity, we will integrate later about the climate change parts. And also we will speak on issue of resolution, plastic. I would like to see, I don't know if you just wanna the interactive session, the other presentation, I believe that everyone here has anything about the diversity, and other things. So the session will be what we tell anyone. The session will be the diversity, ile richness yake na zile changamoto zake ambazo tunakwenda kuziona, ambazo always everyone anazifahamu na experience katika na hii biodiversity richness and fragile yake tutaiangalia katika maeneo ya Indian Ocean. Are you followed? No. We are looking, if you look on the diversity of the Indian Ocean region, right? Or we call sometimes three regions. What actually the status of the diversity is very, and what other socio-economic challenges which faces the diversity of this region. Yeah. So the session will be on that, but also we will look on a little on what we mean when we say about biodiversity itself. What is actually biodiversity? Because it happens most of the times, in many cases, in particular for reporters and communicators, the journalists, they are reporting about these issues, but sometimes they don't understand actually the difference, or they don't know the details about the biodiversity. Not all of them, but some of them. So the session also will enrich the skills and the knowledge on biodiversity. What exactly biodiversity? So by starting our presentation, I would like to ask, okay, what do we mean when we talk about biodiversity? Does anyone understand what biodiversity? Anyone? It's to say that natural habitat. Say, is it enough to say that? So it's only flora and fauna, because it's only Mutina. Oh, yeah. Pamoja na microorganism. Au microorganism tunaweka wapi? Where we do position microorganism. A plant in an animal. The flora or in the fauna. There's another group. So animal plants and microorganisms. That's fine the biodiversity. Okay? Any idea? Wana biodiversity tunasemaje hapo? Yes.
Variety of living and non-living things on earth.
Okay, asante. Ni variety ya hizo organism whatever kama flora, fauna, micro, lakini it's a variety, right? Sema hivi. Aha, kuna mwingine anaingia tofauti kama utasema hivi, nataka kusema okay? Wazee hapa. Okay. Yes. All the contributions, all the answers are there. The correct. The first, we have to understand that when we talk about the biodiversity, we are talking deeply and in detail about the flora and fauna and microbes. That is biodiversity. But when we go far to talk about the biodiversity, we are now talking about the richness of this, what we have mentioned, in a particular area, particular ecosystem, the particular ecological area. So the availability, the richness of these organisms that we have said here are going to define the total meaning of the biodiversity. Yeah, nipeleke kidogo pale kwenye ile presentation. So there is a key words that they define. Wherever you go, you have to take these keywords when you are going to define the biodiversity. In whatever the words and in whatever the language that you are going to use, if you use Sukuma, Kiingereza, whatever, but you have to ensure that utanipeleka mbele alafu utanirejesha. Peleka mbele kwanza. Mbele tena. Mbele tena. Yes, mbele tena. So half. So half. So when we talk about the biodiversity, the main key words to define in which language that you want to use, we have to understand the diversity. The first one, the diversity. And the diversity, as we know, means that the variety of the species, different species in the area. That is the diversity. But also we have to understand the word kinds. Yeah? The kinds. The variety kinds of the organism in the mentioned area or in the globe or in the world That is, we are also using to define the biodiversity, but also living things. When we talk about the biodiversity, we are not talking about any other things, but we are talking about the living. Whatever, if it will be the plants, if it will be the animals, it will be the microorganisms, but it should be the living things. We are not referred to talk about the biodiversity away out of the non-living things. We are not considering non-living things as biodiversity. It will be another issue. But in biodiversity, it have to be living things. And the living things sometimes we call the bio. Also, from one to the condition of bio. So that means the bio means the living things. And the living things mean the organism. Any organism, whatever the organism that we are referring, but should be the living things that we refer as the bio or the organism. So when we talk about the biodiversity, we are talking the diversity, the variety of the organism or living things in an area, that's the first, in a given area. So having a number, having a variety of organisms in a place, in a certain place or given area, that is biodiversity. Kwa Kiswahili tunasema uwepo wa wanyama mbalimbali, viumbe hai, not wanyama, viumbe hai mbalimbali kwenye sehemu fulani. That is biodiversity. Right? Having a variety of living things or organisms, right? In a certain area or given area, that is biodiversity. Right? But also there is another aspect within the biodiversity we have to talk about, which is the number of that organism or the number of living things in that area. So the biodiversity is differ from area to area, and from country to country, from region to region. It is not the same. It's not the same to find some organism in other areas. Some other organisms, living things are found in area A, for example, and it's not found in any other area. So having that biodiversity, having that living organism in that area, we call it biodiversity. And it creates the meaning that biodiversity is the richness of having the living organism in an area. For example, we Tanzania, we have our living organism that we actually proud of, which another country, maybe where? Maybe Canada, they don't have that one. They have to migrate from their country to our country in order to see that living organism. And also we don't have another, we don't have some organism. We have to travel to other countries in order to look at that living things. So every country, every region, every place, we're proud of having the living organism in their area that we call the richness of that area. So the biodiversity in general, it is the richness of having the variety of organisms in that area, which sometimes we will not have found in other. Are we together? Yep. Is there anyone we have left him in an airport or in a port for that? Is there anyone we left in airport that doesn't understand or didn't get what we are actually here talking about? Is there anyone? Kuna mtu yote tumemwacha hajaelewa? Okay, conclude for us. We said we have no one left behind, right? Exactly.
It's a variety of living things, including organism, media.
Okay, thank you. I am from Zanzibar here. Now we are starting to shake hands. Forget about the presentation. I am from Zanzibar here, right? And we have a lot of diversity that we're proud of. You're from where? What you proud of as in terms of diversity in Paris?
The baobab, the vineyards, and the meat part, and fruits,
Fruits?
yeah.
Which fruits? The type of fruits? Because the Zanzibaris, Tanzanian, they would say also they have the frogs,
Yeah,
right? And Baba also, right?
yeah. I think we have about, eight.
How about the Africa half of Africa? And if you talk, over growing Africa and Russia are all from Madagascar. Madagascar has 5% of all the biodiversity. Yeah,
Oh.
Madagascar, yes, Madagascar comes to 5% of all the biodiversity. Madagascar represents 0.4% of every environment for school, and it is on top of the 2%.
Then our friends, our neighbor from Kenya.
Yeah.
Brother. Yeah. How proud for us for the diversity in Kenya.
We have lions.
You have lion? Okay, the lion from
This is from Tanzania.
from Tanzania.
Okay, we have they call it the tuskers. I think
The big tuskers.
The big tuskers, and the largest species of elephants.
Okay. Do we have another? Another one from Tanzania. Kenya already. Madagascar, yeah. Kenya, okay.
Thank you so much from Tanzania. We have giraffe.
I think, brother, you want to say something, huh?
No, I'm following from the time.
You are following. Okay, okay, thank you. So as we have said, as everybody share, we actually differ. Sometimes most of the African countries we are sharing the same. Huh? You may find the lion in Tanzania, but also there is in Kenya, right? But there is some biodiversity which are actually not found in other areas. If we have that organism or that biodiversity, it means that we are proud of that, we are for that. So it said, the fact is, it said that in an Indian Ocean region, that we call Sweden sometimes, right? It has been proved that the most area which are richest of the biodiversity. Richest area in the globe or in a soil area, soil regions that have the rich biodiversity in terms of the biodiversity from the terrestrial ocean, but also in other ecological health. Tunaambiwa kwamba ukanda huu wa India ni ukanda ambao una utajiri wa hizi tunasema bioanuwai. Biodiversity kwa Kiswahili tunaita bioanuwai. Uwepo wa viumbe hivi mbalimbali. We are saying that in the Indian Sea region, say that it is the richest area, right, of the about 85% of the biodiversity in the globe, in the world. Sea region, including Madagascar and other areas, right? A lot of literature says that have the 80%, 85% of the biodiversity in the globe, in the world. So we are proud of having these regions of the biodiversity. And if you go to Madagascar, you will find a lot of biodiversity, right? Which connects to other African countries like Tanzania and Kenya and so on. Yeah. Yeah. So variability of variability among living organisms from all sources, including terrestrial, marine, and aquatic ecosystem in the ecological system are living in. When we talk about the biodiversity, we are talking the whole organism on these three aspects, on these three areas. It might be in a terrestrial area, marine, or aquatic ecosystem. So it includes diversity of species within the species, between the species and of the ecosystem, according to CBD Convention 1994. Inasema that tukizungumza about diversity, we are talking about the diversity of species within the species. The variety of species within the one species. It might, you will found sometimes maybe baobab tree, but there is a variety of the baobab trees. Oh, we are having mangrove, for example. There is a variety of mangroves. So when we talk about diversity, we are talking about diversity of the species within the species. The number of the species within the one species. We have a one species, but within the one species, there is a lot of another species. For example, we have a mangrove, about 11 types of a mangrove in Zanzibar, in Tanzania, right? Whereby in other places, you will find only maybe 2 or 3 types of a mangrove. It is one species, but there is a variety of a species within the one species. But also, you will find another between the species and the other ecosystem. In an ecosystem, you will find individual species, individual species, which is maybe that species will not be found in another place. And you will find also, you have the species in your country, in your area, with a variety of species, but there also will be found that species, but there is no another variety. For example, we have 11 mangrove species in Tanzania. You will find maybe in Madagascar, I don't know, maybe 2 species. 15? Sure? Okay. So availability of a species differ from the ecosystem and areas. It's not all the area have the same biodiversity of species. Some other areas, they don't have the species. Some other areas have the species. And sometimes it might, within the Tanzania, you may find the species in maybe in urban area, but you will not find that species, the same species in maybe south region, right? And sometimes you will find within one country, there is a species which is not available in another. So the species differ from the ecosystem and area. And there is a lot of reason why the biodiversity and the species are differ from one place to another. Some places are rich of and some other poor. Some other they don't have even single species. If they don't have, they are poor. If they have, it is there are richness of that biodiversity. So the biodiversity play a big role, a big important in a community. The first, there is a lot, but I have mentioned a few here. The potential benefit to human, the biodiversity benefit us a lot. In terms of human, they provide for us the food, they provide for us drugs, biological control, indirect and direct benefits. There are a lot of direct and indirect benefits. For example, today, if I ask you, what the benefit of the tree, any tree? Sorry?
They produce oxygen.
Which is maybe in absence of the tree, maybe that the life also will be not there. Here, me and you and other will not be here. There is no the tree. And also the tree also maybe will not be exist if we are not. So the biodiversities are depending each other. The biodiversity depending each other. If you see, for example, maybe organism here around, you have to understand that there is chain which make him or it to sustain to be here. Kama ukimwona hapa kijusi amepita, ujue kuna chain ya maisha inayofanya awepo hapo. Right? That's why we are saying the biodiversity depend each other. Some other organism will not live if there is no, for example, another organism. They are sustained, they are living because of that availability or existence of that organism. But also, another important in a aesthetic consideration, diverse communities are generally more attractive or pleasing to humans. Some other people, if they got anger, no anything should be pleasant, unless to see frog. If they see frog, it's a joy having them. Sex. Kuna watu, hata ukija wewe na maua, even if you come with a Valentine flowers, they will not be pleased with you. Hata ukija na pesa kutosheleza, hawaridhiki, au sio? Wanaridhika wakiona tu kipepeo. You understand kipepeo? Some other people are so pleasant if they see butterfly. Right? So that is the importance of having the biodiversity. The community are generally more attractive or pleasing to human. So that is very display. And some other people, if they go to ocean, a beach, they are relaxed. Wanajiona wakitoka pale baharini kama hawakuwa na matatizo yoyote. Yeye huko anashuka nyumbani huko ana stress, lakini ameenda baharini, kuona tu mawimbi ya bahari, kuchezea tu maji, amepata relief from that. So that means the biodiversity play a big role in our life. But also the diversity is fundamental attribute of interest to scientists. Many of the scientists, they are working on diversity. Kuna tafiti, a lot of tafiti zinafanya. Zile tafiti zinafanya kwenye nini? Zinafanya kwa wanyama. Kwa hivyo kuwepo kwa hizi living organism, this biodiversity, it enables the scientists to conduct their studies, to conduct their researches, to conduct their tests and everything. So it plays a big role in a sphere of a life. There is a lot of importance in ecosystem surveys. I will not mention one by one, but having the biodiversity used to purify air and water. There is some animal in the water, for example, in an ocean. They are there to stabilize the water, to equalize the alkaline and the pH of the water. If there is not available there, maybe the water will be in a acidic situation. So They purify the air and they purify the water. But also reduction of the severity of a drought and the floods. There is some biodiversity, they are specifically working on the severity of a drought and a flood. But also generation and the preservation of fertile soil. A lot of biodiversity contributes to the soil profile to have a fertile soil. If there is no that organism, maybe the soil will be not fertile. For example, we have a tapeworm, earthworm, minyungunyungu tunayo. They are used to what? They are used to fertilize the soil. But also, and another, the biodiversity give us the nutrient, give us the seeds, and other beauty and recreation opportunity. Many people, they have built the what? They have built the zoo. That's the zoo, keeping the animal there. And they are getting a lot of money because of the biodiversity. Keeping there the lion. Maybe to enter in a zoo, you are required to pay what? You are required to pay maybe $50 US. That's a big amount of money. You give them a economic opportunity. So the biodiversity are used in a recreational and other opportunity in our life. Very good. Yeah, here there is some estimation of biodiversity in a global. There is a category of biodiversity and estimation, a number of the identified and unidentified. There are different studies has been conducted by different organizations. They have provided this one. There is a category for algae. There are only 50 algae species has been identified in the globe. There is about 350 algae in a world which are not identified. That means there are a lot of species of algae in the world. But also there is a arachnidae. There are only 45, but there are 550 species are not identified. Na kusudia kusema kuna hizi tunazoziona fungi, insects, plants, protozoa, vertebrates, and others. Only this number identified. For example, any country here, if they say we are rich of baobab tree, for example, if you say Madagascar, you are rich in a baobab tree, the baobab tree that you have identified is only maybe in this number. There is a big number of the species which is not identified until this time around. So the world has a richness of the biodiversity, which is identified and which is not identified. And why existence of many species? There are a lot of species, and there is a need to identify them. But this one is only estimated, not exactly number of the species found in the world. They're only discovered, identified in that first column, but there is a big number of the unidentified species and the living organism in the globe. And why it is difficult to identify? There is a difficult to identify because there is variety of the biodiversity and the diversity in our area. Some other are not wengine hawafikiwi vizuri kufanyiwa hata hizo tafiti na research. Kwa hivyo it is difficult to identify all of the diversity or biodiversity in our regions or in the globe. Yeah, so the globe. So we are categorized the biodiversity or diversity in a two component. The first one is a species richness, and when we say species richness means the number of species in an area. How many species do we have in that given area? That is, we call it as a species richness, but also species abundance, number of individual per species per unit area. Kwenye hilo eneo wanapatikana wangapi hao kinyonga uliowasema? Au kimapunju kule Lozani wanapatikana wangapi kwenye ule msitu mzima pale? Right? Ambapo pengine hawapatikani. Yeah, we are talking about the species abundance, the number of individual per species per unit area. You may revisit your place in Madagascar. The number of the species per area. And you will see the diversity of the diversity in your country. So that is two components are used to identify the diversity of biodiversity in our area. I also want to share this one. It's called a biodiversity hotspot. Biodiversity hotspot means what? Means in a biogeographic region with a significant reservoir of biodiversity that is under the threat from the human contribution, human activity. Kuna maeneo, there is a place which are hotspots of the biodiversity loss or biodiversity. We know there is the places which are rich in your country, maybe Madagascar. You know, maybe in the eastern of Madagascar, there is the hotspot area of biodiversity, right? For example, here in Zanzibar, the hotspot area of biodiversity is the south and south region, Unguja, and also Kaskazini, Unguja, western part of Unguja. But there is a less poor, it is not a hotspot area in the area where we are now, urban area. So when we talk about the hotspot, biodiversity hotspot, we are talking about the area, the biodiversity that are under the threat from the human. Upotevu wa wale wanyama wanaoishi katika maeneo kwa harakati mbalimbali za mwanadamu. So there is a criteria which are used to identify the biodiversity hotspots. The first one must contain at least 0.5% or 1,500 species of organisms in the area. We are saying this place is hotspot if the biodiversity loss is under the 0.5%. Ikiwa chini ya hapo. But also we are saying that is hotspot, it has to have a loss at least 70% of its primary vegetation. Tunasema eneo hilo litakuwa ni hotspot ikiwa 70% ya vegetables of that places are lost. Kwa hiyo itakuwa hiyo area itakuwa ni hotspot for biodiversity. Kwa sababu why we are saying 70% of vegetables if are lost, that area will be hotspot? Because the many of the biodiversity are depending the vegetables, trees, and something like that. That's why many areas like urban area, we are saying it will be the places whereby there is a poor or few biodiversity available in that area. For example, here in Stone Town, this area will not be a rich area for biodiversity because there is no enough vegetables, no enough trees, which actually make some other organism to be suitable to live in that area. Yes.
Just want to know, like, how far, suppose we are, I'm trying to manage time. Are you able to do the conclusion in the next, like, 5 to 10 minutes, and then I can take a question or two?
Yeah, sure.
Okay.
Yeah,
Okay. Until which day?
Okay. Introduction.
Okay.
Here.
This one?
Okay, yes.
Oh.
So In all the presentations that I have delivered, I want to share the very important things in here, in these 3 slides. The first slide, we are saying we have to understand that in Indian Ocean is a treasure trove of ecological diversity and richness. Why? Because it encompasses a lot of coral reefs, which the coral reefs which are available in the Indian Ocean, it is not available in any other area in the globe. We are blessed to have the coral reef, the unique coral reef in the Indian Ocean. You will not have found it in a very Mediterranean and other places. So we are rich of the coral reefs, but also mangroves. About 95% of the mangrove in the globe are found in the Indian Oceans, in the coastal area of Indian Oceans. It might be in Tanzania, Kenya, Madagascar, and other areas. But also seagrass meadows and even open waters. We are proud of having this richness by diversity in our area. And all of this is support a vast range of biodiversity, including iconic species like sea turtle, dugongs, and whale sharks. These are valuable biodiversity which are available in our area, and the people are migrated from their area to come to in our areas, in our countries, just to look for the turtles, just to look for the dugongs, just to look for the whale sharks. So the ecosystem, it provides a very essential ecosystem service such as carbon sequestration. Now we are having the business. It might be a blue or green business, carbon trade. Kuna hiyo biashara ya hewa ukaa au hewa ya kaboni ambayo mara nyingi kwa nchi zetu sisi hizi ndio tunaweza kufaidika zaidi kama tutaengage vizuri, kwa sababu bado tuna vast biodiversity katika our areas. But also coastal protection, having all of this biodiversity inaweka ile protection ya mwambao wetu, ile coastal protection. But also food security. It has been evidence about 78% of the food security are available in our regions. Rather other regions huko Ulaya na kwengine, no food security. But in our regions, many of our food are in a food security. Have the full security. Ukipata kibua wa kwetu, ukipata jodari wa kwetu, unamkuta yuko pure. Lakini wenzetu kule, most of the jodari, most of these fish and animals from our regions are pure, which ensure us the security of that effort, rather other places. So when we talk also diversity and richness in the Indian Ocean is a home to some of the world's most productive fishes, which provide livelihood for millions. We are feeding the global. In the Indian Ocean, our region feeding the global, feeding the world. Many countries come to our regions to take all of this biodiversity and feed their countries. So we are rich of that biodiversity. However, the richness that we have, there is a lot of fragile, there is a lot of challenges that are facing. Few of them, there are a lot of overfishing in our areas. And sadly, overfishing are done with not among of us, with the people outside of us. Watu wanakuja kufanya overfishing sana kwetu. Sisi tumelalala tu. Tuko tu hapa. Right? So that is a threat ya hiyo biodiversity rich katika maeneo yetu. Lakini pia kuna habitat destruction, kuna pollution. Madam Sarah will come to talk about the issue of ocean pollution, plastic and something like that. But also we have a climate change and the threat of our richness of biodiversity in our area, temperature and other things. So actually having the biodiversity richness in our area also hide us with a number of the challenges, as I have already mentioned here. The last slide. So in a social economy, the path forward. The path forward, what should be done? Actually, all we know, all of us here, we know that there is a difficulty of balancing the resources uses. For you, addressing this challenge require a multifaceted approach, sustainable practice such as regulated fishing. As we have said, there is overfishing, but also there is unreported fish, a lot of unreported fishes in our areas. Today and tomorrow, if you go to the Minister of Blue Economy and its department to ask about the data, you will not get the clear data of how much the fish have been kept, have been fishing in that area. Not only in Tanzania, that's a problem not only in Tanzania, even in Kenya, even in Madagascar. There is no clear data on our resources. So in order to actually to solve this problem, we have to do regulated fishing. We have to regulate the fish by establishing a different department so as to work on that area. But also we have to strengthen the frameworks. Sometimes we have the frameworks, but the frameworks does not catch actually the problem. But also we have to do the habitat restoration. We have to do massive pollution control in order to help preserve this area. Lastly, but not the least for today, we have to have multi-coordination in our region. Working silos, working alone does not actually solve this problem. We have a lot of vast resources in our area, and every country works on its own, while we are living in one area, in one region, in terms of Indian Ocean. So in order to solve this problem, I know there is a minimum terms and something like that, right? But also we need to strengthen the coordination between the countries or within the countries. For example, in Zanzibar, maybe we have the Ministry of Blue Economy, and we have Ministry of Agriculture. Should work together in an area whereby that they can work together. If we work together as a country, as a countries, as a regions, we will solve many of the problems found in this area. I think I have shared something on this. I would like to submit it.
All right, thank you very much. Let's appreciate Mahfoud. Let's take one or two questions from our colleagues here.
Or more.
Yeah. Yeah. Question. Okay. Start from where you are.
Okay. The media also.
Yeah, and tell us where you come from, your media house, and then you shoot the question.
First of all, thank you so much for the in-depth presentation. My name is Pauline Ongaji from Kenya. I'd like to know, you seem to know a lot in terms of biodiversity within this region. I'd like to know, is this information usually transferred to journalists? Do you normally hold trainings or organize trainings with journalists, especially those ones who cannot communicate in English about the issues involving the diversity in the blue economy in the Zanzibar region?
We actually do. I have not speak on an organization where I come from, but I'm working with the Zanzibar Climate Change Alliance, the alliance who actually work with more than 48 local organizations, the NGOs, environmental clubs. So we are using our alliance to transfer the knowledge to the local people, to the local organization. And a few 5 days back, we have a training with Zanzibar, a few Zanzibar journalists. They are a TAMA, if you had already for the TAMA, Tanzania Media Women Associations. We capacitated them. There were 26 journalists. So we are using to transfer this knowledge to the local journalists and other stakeholders. Yeah, thank you.
Another question, Maswali.
Okay, my name is Pia. I would like to know from the presentation you mentioned something about you have so many unidentified issues. How is it? And what is supposed to be done so that at least you can have these issues identified? Where are they?
There are a lot, as I have mentioned in a table there. There is number identified, but also there is a number unidentified within the same species, right? There is a many reason, 100 millions reason why it is difficult to identify all the biodiversity, maybe in our area or in a global. First one, conducting the biodiversity mapping or biodiversity monitoring or biodiversity evaluation need a lot of money. A lot of money with a big technological tools. Because, you know, and here we want to send also maybe the request for the organization and the funders to invest in these areas. So as maybe at least to have identified. For example, you see in algae, there's only 50 species of algae has been identified, but there is 1,500 species which is unidentified. So we see that there is an essence from that area to conduct the research, conduct the studies, to discover and identify another species which is unidentified. But two, there is a capacity limit, the capacity building. We have a few experts on this area. Then there is a lot we can say we have, but it's still there is not enough compared to other areas. For example, if you go in agenda, a lot of export. If you go to the climate change itself and environment, there is a lot. But in biodiversity, a few, and in number. And if we say here, for example, here, if we do a puzzling selection, we will see how many are working in biodiversity. Diligent here. We will find, okay, thank you. Congratulations to you. Right? Anyone here? And we too, working on biodiversity. You see? So we have the few. And the few that we are, yes. And that three. Okay, thank you. And Gami. Okay? Maybe we found only 10, maybe, yeah? And the few that we are here, we have the stats, financial stats on dealing with this. Right? So that is also the reason make the difficulty of identifying all the species. But also it depends also the government interest, regime. What's their priority area? Many of the regimes might sometimes it's not their priority that the area is not their priority. Their priority democracy, energy, and some other things. In biodiversity, they have the interest, but it's not a full interest working for that. Yeah, sure.
We have a biodiversity team at the UN working on many teams, but also in UN Trade and Development, there's a program, BioTrade, sponsored by Switzerland for many years. So I've been exposed to that for a while. Even though I never worked directly, I'm now working indirectly on biodiversity issues because we are looking at the impacts of pollution, be it manufacturing pollution, plastic pollution, textile pollution, especially when you make clothes, into first human health and second biodiversity. The point you mentioned that if you allow pollution to leak into the environment, be it land-based or marine-based rivers, it tends to decrease biodiversity, and that weakens the place or the site's ability to generate economic gains. For example, fisheries, agriculture can reduce productivity. The tricky part is that often biodiversity arguments are very indirect and requires a lot of examination to understand what is the problem of, for example, letting a tannery discharge chromium-containing effluents into the river. What would that affect in downstream the river, the ability to catch tilapias or something? There will be. Often this examination is not done. The fishermen will suddenly start to struggle. Oh, I was catching 10 fish, they were bigger. I catch 3, and they're small. And this is a very indirect effect that makes it hard to observe. But it's more than proven that it affects the economic livelihoods of people. So yeah, we're going to have this study in the end of the year being launched, looking at the trying to quantify a bit, because we're trying to quantify pollution on human health. For example, if you allow pollution from textiles or plastics to leak into the environment, or if we intercept that pollution at the source, how many years of life or days of life will save in exposed populations. Because plastic pollution, for example, generates mosquito-borne disease, clogs, sewage, causes floods, all sorts of things that can be quantified into the loss of human life in terms of time. But the more difficult job is to calculate that in biodiversity, for example. To allow colleagues in UNCTAD and other institutions are doing this type of modeling, is to look at for every ton of pollution that prevents how much the species you preserve or how much species you could enhance. So I'd just like to thank you for raising this point. I think my colleague Mirko will soon speak about seaweeds, which is an interesting sector. Usually most economic sectors, tourism, fisheries, manufacturing activities, industry, every time you have the factory being built or the boats fishing around, it tends to reduce or destroy or damage biodiversity. And there are some cultures, like regenerative agriculture, some responsible seaweed farm that can do the opposite, can enhance biodiversity, enhance fish stocks and so on. Mirko will speak more about that. It's a very fascinating area. It's very full of nuances and modeling, and I think science is starting to grasp this more now and get to a point where communicating this to broader analysis would be easier.
Thank you. Yeah, actually, you have talked a lot of things which is very relevant, and I don't want to add anything on that area. And because of that, I think we have to congratulate him by 2 claps. When I say because of him, you keep 1. If they say because of him 2, you back 2. Okay? Because of him, because of him 2. Thank you, brother. You had okay.
Okay, all right. Thank you so very much, Mahfoud, and anyone else? Oh, you wanted to ask something? It is someone.
Oh.
From Manila, there. And so my question is, how do women in Zanzibar are like how do women in this island are rescuing Zanzibar?
Actually, there is a lot of initiative has been established from the government to the local level, and everyone has taken his position and contribution to maintain this funds out there. And as we know, the island areas are the most vulnerable areas when it comes in climate change impacts, harms, biodiversity loss, and other threats. So the government have established a number of initiatives. For example, there are a lot of projects, EMA projects, adaptation, climate adaptation projects, and others. But also establishment of the Blue Economy Ministry. It is a big initiative here in Zanzibar to ensure that the island will be remaining in a safer situation. But also there is another stakeholders, the international donors like UNDP, UNEP, and others, even Save the Children and others, international donors. They are putting a lot of effort to ensure that they are contributing environmental conservation and the conservation of the island. But also we have the local NGOs like Zaka and others. We are always doing the awareness raising, capacity building on how to conserve our island, because we know the islands countries or the island place, they are most vulnerable when it comes in the climate change and other pollution like yeah, thank you.
There was another follow-up question.
Yeah, one thing. We don't have like the actual data. Does this affect biodiversity conservation? Because you say you have identified 50 and species and you have more than 1,000 species. When you're doing conservation matters, does it affect?
It affects a lot. A lot. It affects a lot. When we talk about the biodiversity, we are talking about the richness of variety of the biodiversity in an area. So if we do not keep a clear data on that area, where we will get the gas to stand up on before the people, talking about the richness of that area. You know, the data, having the data drives different economic, socio-economic development, not only in African countries, but also in the globe, around the globe. So they are saying data is a primary aspect of socio-economic development. So it affects because we will not understand how many resources we have and how many resources that we need in that area. For example, if we have unregulated fishing in our region, we will not know how much capacity we have in our region. So the data is very primary, not only in biodiversity, but also in other areas. Data inform the research, data that inform study, data that inform the capacity that we have, data that inform the need that we need in our area. Without data, we are saying many things will start, not only the biodiversity, but also in other areas. Thank you. Okay.
You say this actually that we are facing undocumented issues. So what is the government of Tanzania doing or any local solution for implement issues, especially during the
The government and even other stakeholders, they are doing best, their level best to ensure that the data, the information are well documented. For example, in Zanzibar, in Tanzania, not Zanzibar, in Tanzania, currently they are finishing doing the vulnerability assessment for Tanzania, which cover different sectors, including the fisheries and the blue economy. This vulnerable assessment intends and aims to ensure that we have the clear information about our sectors in different aspects. For example, the tourism sector. The vulnerability assessment comes to assess how much and how far the information is documented in that area of tourism. So there is a lot of ongoing initiatives that the government and the other stakeholders are doing to ensure that the information are available. But also another things I have mentioned before, that the main challenge is coordination, issue of the coordination. It might sometimes, there is a lot of information, but it is uncoordinated. You might find the information in one ministry are kept there inside, right? If you are diligent working on that area, you will get that information and the data. But if you expecting to get the information sometimes, maybe in a internet, in a system here, you will not get enough information until you go deeper in a particular sector or particular ministry, then you will get that information. And look, we are saying there is limited data in this area, but there is enough data in a particular area. And this one is not only in Tanzania, in many countries. You go, the data is very crucial things, even sometimes. For example, here, if I ask you some data, you said, Zani, you ask me, why you need this data? You will not directly provide the data, but there is a data and information, right? A lot of bureaucracy in a number of departments, in a number of ministries. They need you to follow a number of procedures in order to get that data. But we actually encourage the journalists to work, to proceed working diligently, because the journalists are the important figure in our community to provide the information for them to involve the data. Yeah, thank you.
So, let's appreciate Mahfoud, and thank you so very much for your time. So, again,